Hello, and a very warm welcome to the Journey Journals. My name is Gaia from Life of Gaia, and today we're going to be covering a very, very important topic of discussion, and that is how to integrate an ayahuasca ceremony or plant medicine journey. And today I have the honor and privilege of having a delightful friend and guest here with me today. Her name is Tatiana, or Ayashakti. Welcome, Tatiana.
Thank you, Gaia. Thank you for having me. It's my very pleasure to be with you today and to talk about this subject. This is my favorite.
Thank you, Tatiana. Likewise. Now, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, Tatiana and I have done a number of interviews together, and the first one we did was on how to prepare for an ayahuasca ceremony. And Tatiana is a plant medicine woman and plant medicine guide, and she gave a lot of very, very valuable and important information. And so I wanted to do a second discussion and interview with Tatiana to look at another really, really important part of plant medicine journeys, and that is the integration part afterwards. So, Tatiana, I'd love to jump right in and ask you a couple of questions, but before we get started, if you wouldn't mind, just for those of the audience who are joining us for the first time, if you could just tell us a little bit about your background and what you do.
I am a Brazilian native. My family, part of my mother is native from the jungle in Brazil. I grew up in the jungle until 10 years old. I didn't grow up with the family of my mother, grew up with the second part of the family, part of my father's family, grew up in the religious context, very rigid. Only later on in my practice with the medicine, I will refound my family of origin, my mother and her lineage, and continue the work that my forebears were do back then. Today I have the pleasure to continue their work and spreading the word of medicine.
Beautiful. So getting to the ceremony, Tatiana, the preparation, as we discussed, for the ayahuasca ceremony is crucial and it's very, very important. But really, a lot of the work happens after the ceremony. Can you tell us a little bit about, the ceremony, what integration is, and why it's actually so important?
It's a privilege for all of us human beings to get in touch with the medicine. There is so many of us that doesn't have the same privilege. And when we go through experiences so big as this is, we have to create a space in our life. We create a space before we get into the experience, create a space so we can go through the experience, giving us time window to do that, specifically the practice. And absolutely, after we finish the experience, we have to create a window of time so we can integrate all the information that was received through the window of time with the plant medicine of our choice, so we can integrate those information back into our life. I like to think that the real work is not when we drink medicine, not when we partake in psychedelic experience, but when we finish them. When we finish them, with the amount of information that was downloaded and that was received, what we do, what we make out of this information, how we're going to apply, how we're going to apply in our life, are we going to share, how are we going to share with the world those experiences. So if I would say all those steps are very important, but one of the most important after you go through, it is to use the material to integrate into your life so you can enhance your life, enhance the experience of your life, so you can have the benefit fully from the experience of psychedelic.
And Tatiana, for someone who is trying it for the very first time, I mean, I know it's important to not sort of set up expectations within them, but I have to ask the question, what can someone expect to experience, as far as, downloads, information, during a ceremony and then after a ceremony?
In the society that we live, we have a great amount of information, and not all this information is a great things for our system. Not all this information is really informing. Many of the information that we get in our life throughout in general about anything, but it's not different in the psychedelic realm neither. It's not all this information is not all beneficial. So there's, I say, reserve yourself when you choose to go do a experience with plant medicine. Instead of hearing here and there what everybody has an opinion, different opinion of what to do, how to do, and what to expect. Reserve your quietude, reserve your own wisdom, because you have it, to go through the experience without so much of this and that and maybe that expectation. So you have a space so the medicine can surprise you. And if there is any expectation, if no, we always talk about this, it's not good to have expectation whatsoever. But if there is any beneficial to us to go to do plant medicine work, is that you're going to discover about yourself, about the true essence that you are, the things that you have forgotten. When we forget, we struggle and we suffer in our life. Then to go back into a lifehood, to being alive, to be inspired, we got to go back and be in touch with the inspiration that is in our heart. How we do that? Plant medicine can help us. If there is any expectation, is to know more what is inside of your heart, what is the storage inside of your bones, what was forgotten that is in your blood, the wisdom that you brought here, that the medicine is going to reveal all of these things to you, all so much information that you can use to make your life a better life living.
Tatiana, and as far as your own, personal experiences and journeys with the medicine, I know, you did your first ayahuasca ceremony years ago, and you have vast experience now, in not only doing your own ceremonies, but also guiding people through ceremonies. But I'm curious to know your very first ayahuasca ceremony. How did you integrate it then? And how do you integrate it now compared to then?
Back then I had, oh my God, I had a blank, so much material that came to me for me to integrate it that I spent years integrating just the first session that I had. Because I came through tremendous trauma from infancy and early infancy and teenagerhood, there was so much heavy traumas there. My first session was about revealing all those traumas. There was a storage still in my somatic body. There was a storage in my bones. There was storage in my mind. And those memories was making me sick. It was making me numb. So when I had the first experience with medicine, my integration took literally years. I remember like 3 years after my first session, I was still integrating, giving space, giving space for the things, the information that I lived through the medicine, through the experience with ayahuasca, giving space for it to flourish into my day-to-day life. The relationship that I had with myself, with my body, for example, changing my diet. It takes really long time for me to change from one diet to a completely different diet. The way that I dress, the way that I present myself, the way that I speak, to the words that I choose to speak into the world, the material that I choose to look with my eyes, the things that I understand, material that I want to read, the people that I want around me, all of those things was part of my integration. And it took me years to integrate, and I'm glad that I gave space for that.
And how do you integrate it today compared to then?
Now it's a little bit, I would say, there never is easy, but I would say easier because I have more information, I have more experience with the medicine. I have spent years at the time in the jungle, in isolation. So for me, it's a little easier because I know what I have to do after I drink medicine. I will do them because I know it's important. It's going to accelerate myself. It's not like a difficulty anymore. Like before, changing my diet from A to B was difficult because I spent the whole my life eating A diet, and now I had to shift it to B diet. So now I know that B diet is better for me. I saw the benefit there it is. So it's very easy for me to eat this appropriate food when I finish a weekend of work. It's very easy for me. I wanted to eat vegetable food. I want to eat a live food. It's not more sacrificing any meaning to do that. Yes. And it goes the same with all the interaction that I have with all my senses in my life after a medicine weekend. It's very easy for me to do them because it's so natural now after so many years.
Amazing. And Tatiana, I wanted to ask you another question. Ayahuasca is a plant medicine that's quite well known for its intensity specifically, okay? And I know even in my experiences, I did it once, and then it took me about 6 years to integrate that first one. And then I did another one, and it's probably going to take me another 6 years to integrate that. And it's a medicine that I face with great reverence and great respect because of the intensity of the experience. I wanted to ask you, how does someone trying it for the first time navigate not only the intensity during the ceremony, but it can be very intense after the ceremony? And sometimes for pretty long periods of time?
Finding kindness for oneself. No, I have to be kind to with myself. It is intense experience. It is intense experience. The further away that we go, forgetting who we are, forgetting what we came here to do, forgetting what we brought to give, to share with this world, the further away that we are from that, the intenser is going to be our experience with the medicine, but in a good way, because if I am completely forgotten and I go through an experience that is so intense to make me remember where that I came from, the things that I came to bring to this world, in a way is a good intensity, no? But then I have to be extra kind to myself. I wanted to be extra tender to myself. I don't have to integrate like tomorrow all this intensity. Maybe I will take my whole life to integrate this experience, and that's okay, because we integrate one day at a time, we integrate one action at a time. So being kind in that way, and being patient with yourself as well, because imagine that if we took a whole life with the traumas and with the struggle to here, maybe it's going to take the rest of our life to integrate the experience that we had, the recognition that we are, into this new person that we're becoming.
Interesting. And then, you know, there's also the other side of it too, of it's an experience with such profound insights, and it's so wise and so multifaceted, and you know, sometimes it's a deeply mystical experience, or a profoundly deep internal journey. And then you come out of the experience and you back in day-to-day life, and there's reality. And so I wanted to talk about, you know, the integration of the two, the experience during the ceremony and then the coming back to day-to-day life, and sort of the marrying of the two together.
We are so distracted with so much information. Since birth, we are distracted with the amount of information in our life. We forgot about sacredness. We forgot about the life is sacred, and our life is sacred. Life in general is sacred, and it is a gift. And our life, all of our life, all of our beingness is sacred. So I say, like, to bring integration into those experiences is a way to going back into that sacredness. Going back into the sacredness that there is our every breath. There is all every step. The sacredness there is all every word. And because of the amount of information and misinformation in the society that take us into numbness, into forgetting the part of sacredness of life, it feels like, oh my God, how I'm going to do this? But it's a natural thing. Your spirit is sacred. Do something that do small or bigger things that bring you closer to the sacredness that you are into your everyday life. Maybe feel a challenge at first, how I'm going to do. I only know how to go to work. I only know how to take care of my kids. I only know how to pay the mortgage. But you also trust yourself, you know the sacredness that has to come forward because you are it. So I advise people when they finish the experience with me, if they don't have a contact with sacredness in their life, to bring their aspect into their life. You know, be mindful of the words that you speak and make intention that words of goodness for yourself inside of your mind. There is a practice of sacredness. Make an intentionality that you're going to express words of goodness to the ones around you, to the animals, to the life itself, to the vegetation, to the garden, to the flowers, to all there is. There is a way to also integrate this sacredness that we experience with the psychedelic into our everyday life. How do you treat yourself? How is the state of your mind inside? Do you use words that uplift your life, that make you go further with inspiration? Or do you notice that your mind is kind of negative? So go back in the inside of the garden and really curate what you wanted to be. So what you wanted to be inside of your mind, what is it that you wanted to be feeling inside of your heart. We can all do small and bigger things to bring more sacredness into our life. I also incentivize and invite people to do small altars inside of their houses. Altars is a great place. They're physical, that we can look a little place inside of our house that can remind us of the sacredness in life. Sacredness is everything, everywhere around us, but we forgot this. And then it feels like, oh my God, how I'm going to integrate all this sacredness, all this information, beyond of the beyond. You are it, but you have forgot. So all we have to do is to remind ourselves in small ways, like doing a little altar with a crystal, with a water, with a incense, make a little prayer before you eat, make a little prayer before you see a friend that you don't see it. Be mindful of the thoughts that you wish, and if the people that we don't like so much, be paying really close attention in those thoughts, because you can be the representation of sacredness into all aspects of your life.
That's great. And it is a profoundly sacred experience, and it's beautiful, and it changes lives in many, many circumstances. And I wanted to ask you, but it's not always, without challenges. And I wanted to ask, what are some of the challenges that you see coming up with people who do ceremonies, and what can you say to guide them to overcome those challenges?
One of the main things that continue to show up, because we live in a very fast-paced society. We can't wait to get home. We can't wait to get to the work. We can't wait to get to the work. We can't wait to get to the next thing, to the next thing. So the sense of sacredness is kind of lost when we are so fast-paced in our life. I like to invite people to slow down. Medicine also helps us to slow down, because when we slow down, it's better for our health, and it's better for all life, no? Than when we slow down. When we slow down, it's easier for us to pay attention into the details, into how is that I'm truly feeling today. So if we can start from anywhere, let's start from slowing down our pace. And medicine brings that. When we experience in the medicine, the psychedelic, all the plant medicine that we experience, in a sense, we like go outside of time, and then we go back to time, like going back to our everyday life. We go back to the fast pace. No, we're gonna have to learn to slow down, so we can see, so we can feel this sacredness coming through us, in all the senses that we share of ourselves, no? But we are going to have to make a real effort to slow down, because all about the society that we know today is about fast, and right now. I want right now. And the sacredness is not that. Life is not like that. Look at the trees. Look at the trees that give you flowers and they give you fruits. They don't give you fruit when we say, right now I need the fruit. It takes time for the button to come, for the flower to be wet and bloom. It takes some time. So it's the same with us. We are not different than nature. We are nature, in fact. So when we learn to slow down, is a great benefit that we are doing to our journey, for helping us to integrate better into those experiences.
Is ayahuasca for everyone?
I would say ayahuasca is not for everyone. Ayahuasca is for the ones that are ready to drink ayahuasca, and ayahuasca also is not for everyone, because there are in some cases, schizophrenia, no? People that have a schizophrenia, there's already that has the condition, or people that has schizophrenia even in their family. Sometimes we have to look. It was if the mother had, if the father had, if the siblings had. We have to be mindful of those conditions. There is another condition. It's called epilepsy. Yes. Also, people sensitive, they carry this condition. Also, ayahuasca is not for this person. So the mind is already in a very sensitive state. The medicine is going to exacerbate even more. So we wanted to be careful and know that we are real candidates for drinking ayahuasca. Is one of the first concern of mine when people come to drink medicine, if they take any medication that is for this type of condition, or if they suffer from heart condition, like if they had a heart surgery, if they already had a previous heart attack in their life. We also wanted to be mindful. And it's not that the medicine is not for them. The medicine is going to still affect them if they come to participate in ceremony. In some of the cases, they can even do micro dose of medicine, but not like a full amount of ceremony, because their minds is already in a sensitive state, and it doesn't need it to be more sensitized. So ayahuasca is not for everyone, I would say.
Tatiana, I wanted to also speak about community and having a supportive community around you. I remember the very first time I did my first ceremony, it was such a profound experience. I almost didn't know what to make of it. And I didn't have anyone to speak to about it. And it was a very, very frustrating experience because it really changed my life, and there was no one I could really discuss it with. Slowly over the years, I've developed an absolutely magnificent community where it's pretty much the main topic of discussion between us all the time. It's fascinating. But I wanted to ask, for someone who's doing it for the first time and maybe doesn't have that supportive community, how do they find one, or how do they cultivate one?
I love this question because that's why I incentivize me to create a group of like-minded people, especially the people that come to drink with us. We make an effort to continue in contact. We make an effort to bring them together in other meetings that doesn't have to do with sharing medicine, so they can have a space for sharing. Sometimes we go through our experience and does it feel natural to talk to other people that never experienced, and then I even not incentivize people to share much of their experience with people that doesn't know, have no idea, because it can diminish it. It can dump a little bit of the experience of oneself. So like finding the community and finding people like-minded that they are curious and they're interested in psychedelic is a key. And it's so important for us because all in the end, we want to belong, and we do belong, and we wanted to find a group that we belong and we feel comfortable being ourselves and sharing of our experiences. So I would say look out there, because there is people there is so into psychedelic. There are so much conversations going on. There are so many groups there only doing integration, not even doing sharing of medicine, but there exist groups today that only do integration, and then find integration group that you can go and then you can share and be close and belong to people in that way. In my work, we do integration with group when we finish the session. During the weekend, we do several meetings of integration, and then later on, 2 weeks later, we do another one, and then as it the time follow, we keep inviting them to come and just to check on them and to see if they are going and doing their work after they drink medicine, making sure that we all doing our work, because I gotta do my work too after integrating my experience as well. So we keep each other accountable. We keep each other accountable that we are going the right direction, that our heart wanted to go and be.
That's great. And do you have any links to integration groups or communities that we could post afterwards?
Yeah, I can share with you. Yes.
Okay, awesome. And then thank you. And then I wanted to, I heard you mention about, keeping these groups and integrations going to sort of check in on how people are doing their work post ceremony. And which brings me to what I feel is a very important topic of discussion, is that, people do the ceremony and it's, your heart's open wide and you download all this incredible information, and it's an absolutely amazing experience. And a lot of times you get given certain messages or instructions that are very, very clear, and then you come out back into the real world, back into day-to-day life, and it somehow gets very quickly forgotten. And then that person then moves into the next journey, and so it goes on. And I'm not just talking about other people. I was mentioning this even with myself. I've been to journeys where it's absolutely magnificent, and then it's clearly communicated that I should forgive someone that I feel has done me a lot of hurt and a lot of harm. And while it's happening, it all makes perfect sense. And then when I come out of the journey, it's like, no, I don't really want to, the human part of me sort of steps in and, decides, no, I don't, kind of digs my heels in, no, I don't want to forgive that person just yet. And so it's the difficult work of post ceremony that I feel is even more important than during the ceremony. And I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Absolutely. I do feel myself as well personally that the real work starts when we finish the journey with the medicine. we go through is challenging or as much as deep and intense the medicine, the plant medicine, the psychedelic it can be. The real work starts when we finish it and we use the information that was given to us into our everyday today life. It's important for us to be patient with ourselves. Nothing's going to happen to one day or another. The realization can happen in the experience, and it can take your whole life to forgive someone. Even if you realize, the important thing is that you realize that you gotta forgive. The forgiveness is not for the other person. The forgiveness is for yourself, because you don't want it to be holding that you're not forgiving inside of your system, because that is what is going to cause you harm. But as long as you recognize that you gotta forgive, the forgiveness already started. You recognize that you got to forgive this person, the forgiveness already started, and then from here, from this point of recognition to the rest of your life, is going to be one step at a time. Forgive in the direction of forgiving that person is a way of integrating that into your day, your human awakened life. I would say also that sometimes we get this tremendous realization, and then we are ready to change our life. Tomorrow I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna do this. Don't do that. Be careful with that. Be very patient with the things that you receive, the information. Write them down, think them through, feel them through, so you can really mindfully apply them into your everyday life. Now, I need to divorce, I need to leave my house, I need to slowly really feel this change in your life, because the realization that comes, you are aware what it has to be changed, but you don't have to change it at once. Nobody has to take it at once. No medicine is going to tell you right now or you're going to die. No, it's one step at a time, and in that way is a way to be kind and patient with our process. Because if I go to a psychedelic experience and then the next day I feel that I have to change my life completely to 360, it's not going to serve me no well. We got to slow down our pace, and it's one step at a time. One step at a time. You did your step by recognizing that you have to forgive. You did your step by going to your normal everyday state of life and knowing in your heart that not forgiving is not making you a better person. And then this knowing, this realization inside of you is already liberating your field, is already liberating your sense. You don't have to go there and be kissing, hugging, and accepting this person that cause you harm. Is something is internal, is inside of you that you gotta do the work, So if I got a divorce, I don't have to divorce tomorrow. I'm going to do one step at a time, because I want to be mindful of this experience. The divorce, if I decide to do the divorce, is going to serve me great material so I can use it later on in my life. So instead of me just taking it at once, going breaking through it and all that, no, we don't do that. Let's be mindful and let's do one step at a time. So the lessons can really sink in, and we can really integrate from the bones out in.
And Tatiana, a big part of the integration process, you mentioned it earlier, is carving out spaces of time, of quiet time, to integrate and for self-reflection and for journaling. I wanted to ask you, are there any specific techniques or exercises that you recommend that are helpful in the integration process?
Absolutely. So we prepare ourselves to come and drink medicine. We do a small diet, maybe a week and maybe 2 weeks. If the person can do longer, even better for the experience with the psychedelic. Then we have the experience. Then we receive a great amount of information. This amount of information is going to be great material for us to use when we go back home. And we're going to do it one step at a time, as I just say. And it has to do with us decelerating, not going back to work or to the everyday life right away. Now we finish the experience is Sunday, and Monday we are already in the work and we are already taking care of everything, and we didn't not even breathe to leave a space for the experience to sink in our system. The body itself have to integrate the experience, the mind, the heart, and that takes time. So please make it some window when you decide to go to do an experience with the psychedelic. The next 2 days, the next 3 days, doesn't matter like how long, but you have to make it be mindful of giving a window for you to just be with the experience. Being with the experience may be harder than like being in the medicine itself, because we gotta be with the medicine and creating space, breathing properly, find a way to find connection with your breath is great. We teach breath work during our weekends as well for people, so they can bring a tool with them so they can do that. There are great material on breath work online that people can find. So find a way in a day, if you have a window of 1 day to 3 days after the experience, do this healing to your practice. Go to exercise, be silent, be quiet. The medicine is still working inside of you. She's going to appear in your thoughts. She's going to appear in your dreams. She's going to appear in many ways. But if we go away, not giving time, not giving window, no space at all, and we go back to our everyday motion of fast, I feel personally better not even do the experience, because it's not gonna serve so much. We're gonna feel like I need to do the next experience so I can feel that again, right? Because we are not really using the material that was received, so we can make the difference in our life. So I receive information about my health. How long is it going to take for me to integrate that in my health, into my everyday life? How are we doing? We don't have to change our diet to more 100%, but I can change one thing. I can change 2 things in the next week. I can change 3 things in the following days, and slowly we go. I don't have to change my relationship and give up all the things that is harmful for me at once, because those things are there for a reason in the first place. All the things that cause us harm can also teach us to live it better, because when we go through negative experience of a health, mental, physical, and spiritual, we recognize those things, and then we learn from them. We learn from them. When I am having poor health and I cannot have I don't want to have poor health anymore, go through experience with a psychedelic, I recognize that I have to change my health, and I start changing my health. How long is it going to take for me to 100% change my health? I don't have to feel the pressure that I have to change my health, my diet 100% in 1 day, 24 hours, in 1 week. But I am aware and I'm mindful that this is my intention, and I will do one thing at a time. I will remove the from my diet that cause me harm. I will do that. I feel like it's like a mother way, like if you are a mother for yourself, how would you mother yourself? If you were your own child, how will you treat your own child? That is you. No, you're not going to say at once do this. No, you're going to do 1 step at a time.
Right, and it's a very gradual and sometimes lifelong process that has to be treated with kindness, and like you were saying, just being gentle with yourself. That's great. That's great guidance. And Tatiana, speaking of guidance, I know, because I asked you in another interview about book recommendations, and I know that you suggest that people don't read too much or don't watch too much around ceremonies, to not set up expectations. But I wanted to ask if you had any other, you mentioned breath work, and if you had any other recommendations, particularly from the integration side, that people could look at or refer to.
Before we go to the experience to drink medicine, I feel is this service for us to be reading about other people's experience, watching a documentary about other people's experience, because that is going to affect our experience. Many people come and tell, I thought it would be like this, but because I saw this and I saw that, but it was not like that. Have your experience first. Give space for yourself to have your experience first. No expectation of what other people went through. After you go through the experience, then you can look for material. There are great amount of material that we can read, a lot of positive things out there too. The great material that we also indicate, books that talk about better health, because ultimately what the medicine is bringing to our awareness is for us to have a better life, more open, more kind, more mindful, more intentionally. So look for material that is going to help you to get into the places that you wanted to go. If you have a challenge with the health, look to material that is going to help you with your health. If you have a challenge in practicing spirituality, look for groups that is going to help you with the integration, is going to help you to better breathe. Breath is a great practice that we can have. We can do it by ourselves. We can learn to do by ourselves, but we can also go to groups to do breath. And breath is the psychedelic in itself. I am a great fan of breathing, pranayama, kriyas, all of those things. They can bring so much transformation into our lives. In yoga, go do practice of yoga. Exercise, you like to go to the gym, go to the gym, move your body, keep this movement and this fire alive. Medicine is going to come to us and is going to remind us of that. We are numb, and we is enough of being numb. We gotta be awakened. And what is it being awakened mean? What is it being keeping my fire alive means for me? For me, when I finish work and on the weekend with the work, I need to sleep. I need to be silent. I need a lot of silence. I need silence for days until I am ready to talk about anything related or not related to my experience. I need to eat very clean. I need to eat vegetable, a live food. I don't like food that comes in packages that is in the storage for a really long time. I want a food that grows, that have life. So I'm gonna give preference for those food that is alive, that is gonna bring life into my body. I'm going to exercise my body, because when I exercise, also things is gonna happen positive. Things is gonna be moving inside of me, and more that I will be more happy when I'm moving my body, when I give it a life food to my body, if I'm not doing that. So I know the things that I have to do. I need to drink water. Do we remind ourselves how much we have to drink water? The lack of water can cause us to be depressed. So let's remind ourselves to drink water. Creating this space after we go through experience is about that. It's not that you're going to be just sitting and doing nothing. You're going to be active into the things that you got to do for yourself, so you can be a better awakened person. And it is in our power to do that. Only me can exercise my body. Nobody can come here and exercise my body for me. Only me can choose the things that I'm going to put in my mouth to eat that is going to make me feel healthy and alive. So do that for yourself. Integration has a lot to do with that. Silence and quietude, creating space so you can think it through, to really receive, write it down. I like the journaling a lot, because we so intense the experience in our mind, it sometimes cannot even make sense of all the things that we receive. Make a journal, and then go back to your notes. Go back to your notes afterwards, if you feel like you forgot or forgetting, go back there. And then all these things together, I promise you, doing this for after a psychedelic experience is going to make your experiences so much deeper experience you have.
Great. That's great advice and suggestions. Thank you, Tatiana. I wanted to ask you, what is the message that is in your heart around plant medicines and integration?
I feel our whole life is integration. Our whole life. We forget this. We are in this fast pace of life, going to work, worry about the family, how we're going to make the bills, and all of this. The world economically is not good. How it's going to affect us, and all of these things. It's just fast, 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 fast. Without talking about the psychedelic or plant medicine at all, we already need integration. We already needed to take it slowly. We already need to slow down big time in our life. It has to do with the state of our health. If we keep in this fast pace, we're not going to endure for so long. You could look for places like the jungle, for example, and people, they do hard work, and usually they work hard during the first part of the day, but the second part of the day, they're not going to do nothing. They're going to rest. They're going to rest because they need to be with their children. They're going to rest because they want to be with their community. They work really early, like it's 4 a.m. and people already fish, people already cut wood, people already carry water, all of this. But like after lunch, 2 p.m., it's time for taking a nap, it's time for relaxing, it's time for being with the children, the family. So I feel it's a more organic way of life, because in this side of life that we live in big cities, in the society as we know, as in general, we don't have time for that. We are always on. We are on the phone, we are on the computer, we are on the homework, we're on all the time. Our bodies, our system are not made for that. That's why we be sick. That's why we be numb, so numb, because what body can endure? We are not machines. We are organic matter. If you see a plant or an animal frenetically, like I need to give fruit. There is none of this in nature. We are not different from nature. We are nature, in fact. So if I will say anything for people out there that are curious about the psychedelic, or if experience it or not, or even you're curious or not even think about doing psychedelic, we all can use a little bit of integration in our life. Is slowing our pace, being more present in our body, knowing exactly what we need. When we need rest, we need rest. What is the money in this world that is going to give you health? What is going to be for you to work your health all the way, and then in the end you won't be sick and you use all your money to pay for your health? That's not natural. That's not natural. It became normalized, but that is not natural for a human being. So we can all do some integration in our life, is slowing down our pace and paying attention what it is that our body needs, our mind needs, our heart needs. Our heart has a great thirst for connection with the human being. How can we connect when we are running so all the time, so much all the time? We are not stopping. We don't know. I cannot look really at you and connect with you when I'm so worried that I need to pay my bills and I cannot stop to be your friend or have a quality time with you because I'm too worried if I'm going to make it next month or not. That's not natural for human being. And then we're going to start understanding this to integrate our lives into a more organic way of living when we stop and understand that this is not a natural way for living. We cannot live like machines because we are organic matter, human beings. And we have a spirit inside of us, and our spirit have wheels. And the wheel of our spirit, no matter who you are, or what CEO, what successful person you are, your spirit have a will. And if your spirit is not living its will, if you are the sign that you're going to live only the material form of yourself, your promise is going to be sadness and struggle and suffer there, because our spirit is here to have an experience as well. It's not just the matter, the flesh having an experience. From the opposite is true. Our spirit is here to have the experience, and then our mind decide that we're going to do like a machine. Doesn't work, and we're going to only stop being sick. And this doesn't have really to do with medicine or not. It's a general thing. We will only stop being sick when we learn to slow down our pace, when we learn to slow down to hear what is this body need, what is this mind, what is this heart need the most. Then we stop being sick and we start thriving into life.
Tatiana, thank you for the very wise words and the wisdom as always. And to wrap up, I wanted to thank you as always. I feel like this is time, in these interviews, it's time that actually you and I get to slow down and just be with each other and connect. And I'm very, very grateful for this time. And as always, I'm so grateful for the wisdom that you impart. I always learn so much from you in these interviews. And I want to also thank you for all the people that you take a stand for and that you guide through medicine journeys. I couldn't think of a better guide. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Gaia. You inspire me so much too. And I'm so grateful that we got to reconnect and share in this way. So may this material benefit so many that come in contact with and inspire so many as well. And thank you from the bottom of my heart for you to be this person and calling up into this, to be true and to manifest this material into the world. Thank you for that.
It is my absolute pleasure and honor. And actually, for those of you who are watching for the first time or not for the first time, as mentioned, we'll put all the links that Tatiana mentioned to breathwork, to integration groups and circles. I'll put the links to her website and how you can contact her and communicate with her. Please feel free to put questions that you have around integration in the comments below. And also, if you'd like to watch other videos with interviews with Tatiana, she did a great interview on how to prepare for an ayahuasca ceremony. And we have an equally fascinating one about Tatiana's background and how she traveled into the jungle to work with medicine and learn medicine. And I assure you, it is absolutely fascinating. It's a story and a journey of great bravery. So please feel free to like, share, comment, and stay tuned for the next one. Thank you again, Tatiana.